Welcome back, everybody, to the Pittsburgh Pirates franchise here on MLB The Show 20. As today, we kick off the month of September here in season number 3, winding down this regular season, and it really does look like for the first time in this series, our Pirates will be advancing to the postseason. But we'll be talking about the Major League squad in a little bit, because today we're not just going to be covering the Pirates. We're going to be looking at the AA and AAA teams, but first things first, we need to call up 2 minor leaguers, because once we hit September, we must have 28 players on the active Major League roster. So we're going to be calling up Aroldis Vizcaino from AAA, a guy who started the year in the majors, was really playing poorly, hasn't even been all that great in AAA, but he will return to the major leagues. Vizcaino is a guy who was phenomenal last year and then just fell off a cliff this year. And then the other player we're going to call up is Rosell Herrera, a player we got at the trade deadline from the New York Yankees. We're going to be having him come up to the big leagues as well. He's not played Major League Baseball since 2019 with the Miami Marlins. We're also going to make a quick signing, 22-year-old first baseman Miguel Santiago from Cuba. Santiago's a well-rounded player. I think he's better than his 62 overall rating suggests. He'll start in single A, so we won't get to see him in action in this episode, but I do want to add him to the organization. So we're going to start with AA, the Altoona Curve, 70-69. I think the team is actually a lot better than the record suggests. If we lose this game, we will finish the year 500, and if we win this game, we'll finish the year not only above 500, but we'll also finish with a nice loss total of 69. So a lot of things to play for. We cannot, unfortunately, win the division. We do have a chance to make the wild card, though. If we win or the Seawolves lose, we will be in as a wild card. It doesn't show wild card standings, but there is a wild card in AA. Since there is a wild card, I don't know why they don't have wild card standings, but oh well. But this lineup is actually really talented. Leadoff hitter Alexander Canario has had a great season, 22 home runs, which is a lot for a AA leadoff hitter. I checked every AA lineup. Maybe 5 teams had their leadoff hitter having more than 4 home runs. Canario's 22. Mickey Moniak's been solid. Pablo Cairo, our number 1 hitting prospect in the organization. He's going to be an everyday player in the majors next year. I am sure that we might keep him in the minors for a few weeks next year, but he's going to be a major leaguer, and I want him to be an everyday major leaguer pretty early next season, and I think he is talented enough to get to that level next season. Kiki Javere's having a decent year, so is Ryan Jorgensen, but a lot of talented prospects on this roster. The top 6 players in the order all have B potential or better. Obviously, Cairo has A. There's Koizumi Satoshi. We signed him in the offseason from Japan. He's having a nice year. Israel Cuevas has a ton of power in his bat, one of our rookies, or one of our draft picks. I don't really know if I would call him a rookie. And then looking at the rest of the players, not too special. There's catcher Santiago Sanchez. We got him at the trade deadline from the Milwaukee Brewers, and then a few other bench bats as well. The rotation is also fairly solid, at least at the top. Quinn Priester, Felipe Benitez, and Barack Herzog have all been really good. Priester's definitely going to start in AAA next year. He's had back-to-back great seasons. And then Benitez and Herzog, 2 players we got from last year's draft, have both played really well. However, the back end of the rotation is a mess. Michael Gonzalez has been very bad. He's a 63 overall with A potential, but he's also like 27, 28 years old. Does not have a whole lot of upside, so he doesn't have a huge future with the team. Hopefully that A potential could be good trade bait, maybe down the line. And then James Jew, 61, B potential. He's only 18 years old. He's very young. He's very raw, and he has a lot of work to do. And then this bullpen is actually really solid. Susler's doing well. Clayton Andrews has been very good. Gaylord Dixian's been solid. Patrick Waldron started the season off slow, but he's played a lot better in recent months. Cuevas, Cesar, Grady, Iguchi, really everybody in the bullpen is playing well. Leonard Iguchi is another A potential prospect, but he's also not the youngest. I'm pretty sure he's 25, only at his 63. He has more of a major league future than Michael Gonzalez for sure, but Iguchi is definitely what I would call a late bloomer. So here we go, game 140, the final game of the regular season. The Altoona Curve taking on the Harrisburg Senators, the AA affiliate of the Washington Nationals. And the Altoona Curve are playing for a playoff spot. This team is not eliminated They're also playing for the rights of being over 500 and having 69 regular season losses. But this team needs a win and an Erie Seawolves loss. So it's going to take more of an us winning this game, but it's certainly possible. Zach Hedges on the mound for Harrisburg, a former member of this organization, by the way. He was signed, I think, last year, played with the Altoona Curve for a little bit, wasn't all that good, has not been all that good this year with the Senators, but I guess he hasn't been awful. Canario leading things off, and he's actually going to get plunked. That's how you start a baseball game. Charge the mound, kiddo. Now here's a look at Pablo Cairo. 1-2 pitch, he's going to strike out. But one big weakness with Cairo's bat is that he does strike out a little bit too much, but other than that, he's very well-rounded at the offensive end of the plate. And then here's Koizumi Satoshi playing shortstop today. He's an outfielder. He does not play the infield, but hey, the Curves just want to experiment a little bit. James Jew on the mound for Altoona. Probably not the guy you want starting in a big game like this, but hey, maybe he can have one of his better performances. Here's Deandre St. Louis. Going to strike out on the nice fastball. Jew's best attribute is that he throws very hard. Ryan Jorgensen now 1-2 pitch. He's just in window shopper. Say it with me, kids, because he's just looking. Israel Cuevas now going to go down on the slider. Zach Hedges looking quite good as well to start this game off as we go to the bottom of the second. Rhett Wiseman, more blind than Helen Keller. I don't know what he was swinging at. Nice pitch from Jew. Speaking of James Jew, he leads off the third, and he's going to get a base hit. James Jew is not your next Madison Bumgarner. He does not have a great bat, but hey, good to see him getting a hit. Alexander Canario now up at the plate, and that one is going to be ripped. A deep liner into left. Would have been a home run had that little board not been there, but that's still going to be a double for Canario. So 2 runners in scoring position. Now 1 out for Pablo Cairo. Grounds that one out to short. Alexis Rivas makes the throw. However, James Jew will come home safely to score. Altoona takes a 1-0 lead. So that'll bring up the cleanup hitter, Koizumi Satoshi. In that Japanese showcase game, we saw him go yard twice. That was back in the offseason. And as you can tell, this man still has a darn good bat. Satoshi goes deep into right, 359 feet, his 13th of the year. And the Altoona Curve will take a 3-0 lead just like that. Now let's go bottom 4. James Jew pitching a gem right now as he strikes out Rhett Wiseman. That's Jew's 6th K of the game. Here's BJ Lopez now with a runner on. Grounds that one to short. Koizumi Satoshi bobbles it, makes a bad throw. Yeah, spoiler alert, he's not meant to be an infielder. However, the top 4 bats in this Altoona lineup are all outfielders. So that is kind of why he's mainly playing shortstop today. However, the next batter, Vladimir Robles, would ground out end of the inning as the score remains 3-0, and we go to the 5th. Canario with another double. This one goes over the fence for a ground rule double. Altoona's already got themselves a runner on with nobody outs. Now 1 gone for Pablo Cairo. Rips that one past the glove of the shortstop for a single. Canario has some wheels. The play at the plate is not in time. Bad throw out and left from Deandre St. Louis. And the Curve now lead this one by a score of 4-0. Pitching change for Harrisburg. Antonio Armas now in the game. He's pitched a lot this year, 115 innings, and he's done fairly well. As the first batter he faces is Koizumi Satoshi, going to ground into the 4-6-3 double play. Armas' inning is quite successful, as he only had to face 1 batter, gets 2 outs there. Bottom 5, St. Louis now up at the plate. He's going to go down on the inside slider. Nice pitch from Jew, who still is not allowed to run, by the way. James Jew is still cooking here in this one, only allowing 3 hits through 5 frames. Frankie Bartow now in for Harrisburg in the 6th, his 76th appearance of the year. ERA sub 2.2. He's played very well. Here's the catcher, Santiago Sanchez, with a single. Runner thought about going home, but is going to retreat back to third, and he's in a pickle. That's Israel Cuevas, who would eventually be tagged out, and the single from Chavez would be pretty much meaningless. Bottom 6 now, Robbie Glendening, a former member of a Pirate organization, going to draw a walk. Bases loaded with 1 out. The Curve are going to keep Jew in the game. That might not be too smart, as Vladimir Robles gets an extra base hit past the glove of Mickey Moniak 2 runs come to score. Harrisburg cuts the lead in half as it's now 4-2. And would Altoona keep Jew in the game? Yes, they would, and I guess it works out as the batter Ambrose would fly out to center. Canario makes the catch. That would end James Jew's day. 6 innings, nearly 110 pitches. He was busy. On to the 7th, Andrew Isler, now in for the Senators. He's also having a fairly good season. Alexander Canario up. He is 2 for 2 with a pair of base hits. Going to get an infield single. The throw from the third baseman, Jake Knoll, is not quite in time. And now there's 2 runners on, 1 out for Pablo Cairo. Better double check that swing. Not a great performance from Cairo. He wasn't awful, however. So now there's 2 on, 1 out for Koizumi Satoshi. He's gone yard today once, and he's going to go yard for a second time. Satoshi with a 3-run blast, his 14th of the year. And the Altoona Curve will now take a 7-2 lead off of the bat of the 21-year-old Japanese slugger. As Satoshi continues to play well. Dalibert, hey Siri, now into the game, had to do that pun. Siri's having a pretty nice season as his first batter of the inning would be his last batter. Kiki Javere, the 18-year-old first baseman from Georgia, would fly out to center. Vladimir Robles makes the play, and we go to the bottom of the inning. Gaylord Dixian, don't laugh, 12-year-olds, is now in the game. Dixian was the Pirates' second-round pick in the 2021 Major League Draft. He definitely has a lot of upside to be a potential future Major Leaguer as he gets that batter to check swing. Alexis Rivas now up at the plate. Canario makes an awful play. He makes an awful throw as well. And the shortstop, even Satoshi, makes a bad throw too. Just an all-around awful defensive play from Altoona. And the following batter, Jake Knoll, hits a single past the glove of Koizumi Satoshi. And now it is a 7-3 ball game. Rhett Wiseman now up, going to ground that one to Satoshi. He does not mess up. Neither does the second baseman, Jorgensen. 6-4-3 double play. The Altoona infield, it's more chemistry than a science project. And we go to the next inning. Jorgensen leading things off. 2-2 count for him, and he's going to go down on the slider. Nice pitch from Dalbert Siri to get the out. Alexander Canario now up. He's reached base on all 4 at-bats and decides, hey, there's 2 runners on. How about this is the bat that I don't get on, as Canario goes fishing at an ugly pitch. Bottom 8 now, the 5'6", 160-pound reliever Clayton Andrews in the game. He may be tiny, but he pitches with a lot of heart and has been very good this season as another bad defensive play from Koizumi Satoshi. Late reaction, bad throw. Yeah, I don't know if you can tell, he's not meant to play shortstop. Since Pablo Cairo spent most of next season in the majors, I guess that'll open up a spot in the outfield. Doesn't really matter. Altoona still gets the win regardless, 7-3, as Clayton Andrews strikes out the final batter of the game. Altoona will finish with a regular season record of 71-69. Nice! And the Altoona Curve would clinch a playoff spot. So for the first time in this series, some team in our organization ends up making the playoffs, which is awesome. Here's a look at the box score. Alexander Canario played very well. Koizumi Satoshi with 2 home runs in this game, driving in 5 runs. Pablo Cairo drives in the other 2. Cairo finishes the regular season with the AA Triple Crown. He had the highest batting average, most home runs, and most RBIs, regardless of which AA league. He was the best hitter in AA this year, regardless of team, which is awesome. I'm telling you, he's going to be a stud in the majors next year. So, good way to end the regular season for the AA team. Now we look at the AAA team, the Indianapolis Indians. They are also fighting for a playoff spot. So, both minor league teams had their final games of the season being of the utmost importance. Kind of like Altoona, the Indians need a win and a Toledo Mud Hens loss in order to win the division. The Indians cannot clinch a wild card spot. The Mud Hens have already clinched a playoff spot, but they have not clinched the division quite yet. So the Indianapolis Indians are not out of the running. Unlike Altoona, the Indians lineup is not all that great. This team is mainly led by pitching. Not a whole lot of great bats. There are a few good ones, including Jared Makepeace, who is hitting .347 right now, which is very, very impressive. Miguel Moda's having a solid year. Lazaro Armenteros is playing pretty well. He just strikes out too much. Armenteros is a 79, by the way, but there's just no available spots in the Major League outfield. So I don't know what his major league future is, but this kid has a bright future. He's very talented. Sean Humber laying down the lumber. He's been solid, 420 at-bats, 420 blaze it. Tim Beckham's been solid. Travis Swagerty's been okay. Swagerty's going to be a major league player next year. I don't think he'll be an everyday player, but he does have a lot of potential. Currently has 89 potential to be exact. He has really progressed this year, even though his numbers, I would say, are pedestrian. The power numbers are very good, but the contact numbers are mediocre. Leover Peguero's been fine, so has Nair Luis Martinez. And then looking at the bench bats, Michael Lowry's been solid. Trey Cabbage, meh. Christian Kelly, meh. But for rotation is where things get fun. Starting with the top prospect in the organization, the number 4 prospect in the major leagues, Santiago Osuna. And I think him being the number 4 prospect is honestly disrespectful. He needs to be higher. He has 98 potential, and to put that in perspective, only the best of the best have at least 98 potential, along with a few top prospects. So this basically tells you that Santiago Osuna has a legit shot to being one of, if not the best starting pitcher in baseball in due time. Like Pablo Cairo, I expect Osuna to start the season in the minors, but I think he'll be called up to the big leagues fairly soon. Osuna has played well last year in AA, is doing well this year in AAA. The only problem with his game is he doesn't strike out a ton of batters, but other than that, he is great. Looking at the rest of the rotation, Adonis Medina has been a little bit below average. Domingo Robles has been kicking butt. 2.11 ERA, 1.15 whip. He has a nice future. 75 overall, only 23 years old, talented lefty. He's a very well-rounded, balanced pitcher. Doesn't do any one thing particularly great, but is an all-around good player. Brian Ayala, Wei-Chun Wang, they're both doing solid. And then the bullpen has a lot of major league talents, not including Cody Bolton, but pretty much everyone else. Dovidas Neverauskas is doing well. Dino Salas is doing well. Yaxel Rios is doing well. Feliz is having a good year. Edgar Santana is playing well. And then so is Gordon Brito. So this team is dominated by pitching and very good rotation, very good bullpen. Just got to hope that if this team makes the playoffs, the batting lineup will be able to keep up. So here we go. Game 140. The Indians currently sitting at 74-65, playing for a right to make the postseason for the first time in this series, taking on the 68-71 Louisville Bats, the AAA affiliate of the Cincinnati Reds. I'm sure they would love to finish the year with 69 wins. Here's a look at both lineups for today's game 1-9. Regular starters for Indianapolis here in this one. As on the mound for Indy would be Santiago Osuna. This was Wei-Chun Wang's scheduled start, but, I mean, Osuna had enough energy. If we could get an extra start for Osuna, we're going to take it. Let's be real. Currently has an ERA at 3.05. Going to try to have him finish the year of a sub-3 ERA if he pitches well. First batter, Franklin Barreto will go down looking. Former top prospect with the Oakland A's. Travis Jankowski strikes out. Osuna strikes out a pair of batters that inning. Quite impressive because he's obviously not a strikeout guy. Craig Roper on the mound for Louisville. He's mainly been their long reliever, but he's actually been very solid this year. Lazaro Monteros on the full count pitch, going to go down looking at the fastball ending the inning, keeping the score tied at 0 as we go to the third. Jose Garcia, the shortstop, will strike out. Osuna with his third K of the day, pitching fairly well. Now top of the fourth. Not a lot of offenses you can see so far. That is the second base hit for Louisville today. A single for Travis Jankowski, the former San Diego Padre. There is Scott Spindler striking out. Gavin LaValle now strikes out as well. However, in the process, Jankowski does steal second. So that'll bring up the catcher, Lee Jen-Chu, one of the better prospect in the Reds organization. That should be an out. However, Jared Makepeace flat out drops the baseball. So Chu will advance to second. Jankowski scores, and the Bats will take a 1-0 lead. How about that? However, the inning would shortly end after Jamison Hana would strike out. Nice pitch from Osuna. So we go to the fourth. Sean Humber up at the plate. Lines that one to first. Nice play by Gavin LaValle. The Bats will turn 2 in the inning, and we go to the fifth. These Louisville Bats have not been great today. No pun intended. However, plays like this could change that. Kyle Isbell goes deep for a 2-run shot, his 8th home run of the season. And Louisville will now take a 3-0 lead. Michael Lowry now up, a draft pick from back in Season 1. He's going to go down looking on the outside fastball. Craig Roper is pitching an absolute gem right now. Gavin LaValle now up in the 6th. Routine play from short. Bad throw from Leo Verpeguero. Humber forced to step off the bag, and that will put a runner on. Doesn't really matter too much as Craig Roper does ground out. The third baseman, Tim Beckham, has a little bit of trouble with it, but he does make the play. And now we go to the bottom of the inning. Maybe the Indians can do something offensively. Here's Travis Swagerty. 1-1 count for him. He lines that one into left, and it is caught. One hit today for the Indians so far. A single from Lazaro Armenteros, and the Indians just cannot hit to save their lives right now. Osuna's still in the game in the 7th inning as he does strike out that batter, his 8th of the day. Jankowski now up at the plate. He's chopping gaff. That will score Kyle Isbell, and the Bats will now take a 4-0 lead. Osuna at 113 pitches. That's a fairly big number. Inning does come to an end as Gavin LaValle grounds out, and that would end Santiago Osuna's day. 7 innings, 8 strikeouts, 3 earned runs allowed. He was fairly solid. Now we go to the bottom of the 7th. Armenteros strikes out. Craig Roper is absolutely dominating right now. Are we sure if this isn't Max Scherzer cloning himself to be a AAA pitcher? Michael Feliz now in the game here in the top of the 8th inning. He's going to strike out Jose Garcia. Good inning here for the Indians as now we go to the bottom of the 8th. Michael Lowry up with 2 outs. He grounds that one to third. Spindler bobbles it. And for the first time in a long time, the Indians got themselves a base runner. That'll bring up the pinch hitter, Trey Cabbage. And he strikes out. Go back to the dugout and eat some cabbage, buddy. As we go to the 9th inning now, Dino Salas is in for the Indians. Just going to try to keep this deficit at 4. Pinch hitter, Kerry Chow. That's a cool name. He strikes out, and we go to the bottom of the inning. Craig Roper's day is done, thankfully. And Cam Easley would enter as he easily retires the side. And that's how this game ends, and the Indianapolis Indians season will come to an end as they lose this game by a final score of 4-0. And we'll finish with a record of 74-66. I told you this lineup was not great. 1 hit the entire game. And if you look at Louisville, they didn't hit the ball that well either. Other than the top 3 batters in the lineup, Barreto, Isbell, and Jankowski, in the lineup, batters 4 through 9 did not record a single hit, which is pretty crazy, but they didn't need to, clearly. The Indians struck out 8 times, only walked twice, only had 4 base runners the entire game. Santiago Osuna pitched fairly well. He gets the loss. He wasn't great, but he certainly wasn't bad either, and he is not the one to blame for this loss by any means. So now we look at the Major League team. The Pirates are 90-53, very close to clinching their first playoff spot in this series. Last year, we're not counting as a playoff year, if you don't remember. We needed to play a game 163 to make the wild card game. We lost to the San Francisco Giants, who we're playing right now. Time for some revenge, boys. So that doesn't count as the playoffs. That just counts as an extended regular season. So as you can see, we are about, like 6 games ahead of the Brewers. We've been steadily ahead of them for a while now, but the Brewers are not making this easy. I believe they're the 2nd best team in the National League right now. Good chance we play them in the first round. If not them, probably either the Padres or the Diamondbacks. Now let's look at how the team's doing. Starting off Bryan Reynolds, and he's in a weird spot. Remember, his potential was going up, and now it's going down. He started the season at 88 potential. He got it up to 89, and in a span of like 2 weeks, it's gone down to 87. So I've never seen a player's potential go up and then go down in the same season. I've seen it go down and then back up to like even itself out. That's what happened to Mickey Moniak. His potential went down and then back up. But Reynolds' potential was once going up and now it's going down, which is really weird. Eduardo Escobar still having a great year. Josh Bell putting up MVP numbers once again. He's probably not going to win it this year, but he's still kicking butt. Dylan Carlson has obviously had a great year. Benny Lane, he is sneakily going to hit 40 home runs, driving 100 batters while hitting 280. He's having a very good rookie year. Bo Bichette's potential is actually going up now, which is kind of a surprise because he's been our worst batter. That does say a lot because our lineup has been phenomenal this year, but still, pretty much everybody in the lineup's potential is going up, I believe, except for Brian Reynolds, who's obviously going down, and then Benny Lane. But everybody else, Escobar, Bell, Carlson, Bichette, Mejia, Cruz, all of their potentials are going up, which is awesome, and for good reason. Francisco Mejia has not been great the past month or so, but he's still having a good year. O'Neal Cruz obviously doing very well. Then looking at the bench, Yandy Diaz, Cabrian Hayes, they're playing well. Kana's doing good. Williams Astudillo has not been great. Haniger's been solid. And then Rosel Herrera has only gotten 5 at-bats. He hasn't gotten a large opportunity yet. The rotation is kind of cooling off a little bit. Jameson Taillon is not cooling off. He is continuing to dominate, having a phenomenal season. The first chance I get to pay that man, I'm going to pay him the big bucks. Julio Urias has still been pretty much average this year. Joe Musgrove pitching pretty well still. Yamamoto still doing good. And Mitch Keller still has a sub-3 ERA. I'm impressed. Brandon Waddell, he has really not played all that well since like May. Jace Fry has been pretty good since he got called back up from AAA. Then looking at the rest of the bullpen, I would make Fry a middle reliever, but there's no middle relief spots open, so he's a long reliever for right now. Michael Givens has been solid. Emmanuel Clase, other than that horrible month of April, he's been okay this year. Aredis Vizcaino hopefully can get his season back on track. He does have a team option. I'd be surprised if we brought Vizcaino back at this point. He's just been bad this year. Hopefully he can play well this last month and maybe change our minds. Richard Rodriguez has been phenomenal the past month or so. And then the back end of a bullpen, Presley, Smith, Giles, they've all been locked down, of course. So our first chance of revenge. This is the first time the Pirates have played the Giants since last year's game 163. If you don't remember, both teams were 88 and 74. Playing for a game 163 to determine who would get to play the wild card game. Ended up being a fairly exciting contest. However, the Giants won off of a walk-off home run from outfielder Jalen Davis, who is starting in this one for San Francisco. The Giants are a lot worse this year, however, 62 and 83. Kind of surprising that this is their first matchup all year. Both series between the Pirates and the Giants are in September. I think the next one is in like a week from now in game, so I guess that's kind of interesting. Spencer Turnbull, the former Tiger, gets the start. He's having a good year. 3.33 ERA, 1.31 WHIP in 22 starts. So he's been fairly solid for the Giants, one of their better starters this season. Runner on here for Eduardo Escobar, 1-2 pitch. Escobar crushes that one into right field, and Jalen Davis makes an incredible catch, collapsing after contact with the wall, but he is okay. Very nice defensive play by Jalen Davis. Jordan Yamamoto getting the start for the Pirates. He's had a pretty solid year, and his inning would go successful. Runner on second, 2 outs, as Mejia jumping for joy that the inning is over. He does make the catch. And now we go to the top of the second. Bo Bichette up at the plate, going to go down on the 97-mile-an-hour fastball. Turnbull can throw hard. Bottom to the former Pirate, Colin Moran up at the plate. Dylan Carlson absolutely drops the baseball. San Diego Studios, your game is great this year, but please fix your fielding. Just please. That's the second drop today. Joey Bart would strike out, and luckily that error would not be a real problem. Bottom 3, Mauricio Dubon strikes out. Zach Green now grounds out to third. I don't know why Escobar didn't tag the runner, but he does throw the runner out at first, so it doesn't really matter. Game still tied at 0. A lot of defense so far. Runner on first here for Benny Lane. He's just a window shopper because he's just looking. And the Japanese rookie will go back to the dugout. Here is Bo Bichette, now full count pitch. He goes down looking as well on the low fastball. Thought that was a ball. Now on to the 5th inning. O'Neal Cruz goes down looking on the high fastball. Turnbull and Yamamoto are kicking butt right now. Here is Brian Reynolds grounding out to first. We're halfway through this game technically, and no one has scored a run yet. Bottom 5 now, Gene Segura up at the plate. Escobar attempts to drive a runner, says screw it, I'm just going to throw him out at first. And he does make the play. Game still tied at 0, as we now go down to the 6th. Escobar up at the plate, going to lead the inning off, and he gets the base hit. Jalen Davis unable to make the catch, and the Pirates actually got themselves a base runner. Neither team has done a great job of getting base runners on for the most part. Here's Josh Bill. This is an opportunity for the Pirates to try to break this game open or ground into a double play. Not particularly ideal. Now into the bottom of the sixth, the former Rocky Garrett Hampson strikes out. Better double check that swing, and the game is still tied at 0. Benny Lane now up into the seventh. He's going to go down swinging at the high four-seam fastball. Francisco Mejia now up at the plate, 2-1 pitch. Weak fly out will be caught by the first baseman. Spencer Turnbull with 7 shutout, dominant innings from him. But Jordan Yamamoto's doing quite well himself. Here is Ty France, the pinch hitter, who's actually probably the best Giant hitter this season. Not getting the start in this one as he flies out to Bell. Yamamoto now 7 strong, not allowing a run. On to the 8th inning, reliever in for the Giants, John Bell Gustave. Now that there's a bullpen arm, maybe the Pirates can do something. Or maybe not, as Brian Reynolds grounds out. 1-2-3 inning for the Giants. We go to the bottom of the 8th. The Fresh Prince of Pittsburgh, Will Smith, now into the game. The big trade deadline acquisition from the Atlanta Braves. Smith is a former San Francisco Giant, by the way. Had many great seasons in San Francisco, so this is a little bit of a homecoming for him. First batter of the inning, Mauricio Dubon hits a single into center. However, the Giants aren't going to drive him in as Mike Yastrzemski, related to the great Carl Yastrzemski, strikes out. Josh Bell goes down swinging on the high slider. And we are in the top of the 9th inning, and this game is still tied at 0. Dylan Carlson goes down looking at the four-seam fastball, and the Pirates do not score a run here in regulation. But on the bright side, the Giants' offense isn't doing too much better as Colin Moran strikes out. Here is Joey Bart, the former number 2 overall draft pick. He strikes out, and we are now going into extras. How many times has there been a game that goes into extras tied at 0? We're through 9 innings. Nobody has scored yet. That is pretty incredible. Benny Lane, first batter of the inning. He's going to draw a walk, so maybe this is the spark that the Pirates need. 1 gone now for Francisco Mejia. Check swings at the fastball. Did he go around? I don't really know. That was close. Bottom 10 now, Jace Fry going to enter the game. Mauricio Dubon grounds that one past the glove of O'Neal Cruz. Maybe this is an opportunity for the Giants to get a spark, as the following batter, Gene Segura, will draw a walk. So now 2 runners on, 2 outs for Mike Yastrzemski. And that one looked like it was going to be a base hit. O'Neal Cruz saves the game, catching the liner. And we now go to the 11th. Game is still tied at 0. Donnie Jimenez now in for the Giants, his 88th appearance of the year. He's pitched pretty well this season. Eduardo Escobar strikes out, and the Pirates still do not get a run across as we go to the bottom of the 11th inning. Richard Rodriguez is now in for Pittsburgh, going to try to keep this game tied at 0. 1 gone for Colin Moran. Deep ball into right. Josh Bell is unable to make the play. He is not meant as an outfielder. Brian Reynolds has trouble getting to it, and that is a triple for the slow Colin Moran. So the Giants got themselves a runner 90 feet away from home. Joey Bart up at the plate. This looks like a double play opportunity, and Bart is safe at first. And the San Francisco Giants win this game fittingly on a ground out. That's the only possible way this game could end. The Pirates managed this well. They intentionally walked the following batter to get the double play opportunity, and they just couldn't turn 2 in time. The only possible way I would want this game to end is on a ground out, though, as the Giants win it 1-0 in probably the worst offensive showcase I've ever seen in my life. The Pirates' bats were awful. 2 hits in this game. The pitching was great. Jordan Yamamoto with a gem. The Giants got 5 hits. Their lineup didn't do a whole lot better. But the Pirates lineup actually has expectations. They're the best lineup in baseball this year. The Giants lineup is one of the worst. So you'd think that the Pittsburgh Pirates can get more than 2 hits in 11 innings, right? I don't know. So here's a little pop-up that the Indians don't make the playoffs and the Altoona Curve do make the playoffs. When I was recording, I just assumed there was no wild card. So when I saw the Altoona Curve making the playoffs, I was actually pretty shocked because I assumed they weren't going to make it. I assumed we were just playing for the right to be over 500 and to finish the regular season with 69 losses. But no, we're in the playoffs. So I'm not really going to go too much in depth in the minor league playoffs. We do win our first series in 4 games, and that'll bring us to the minor league championship, or I guess the AA championship for our league. So I will cover the AA championship in the next episode, and we're also going to try to finish the regular season next episode as well. We have 2 more series against the Brewers, who have cut the division lead in half. Milwaukee is only 3 games behind us, and with 2 playoff series to go, it's anyone's division. Our Pirates have not clinched a playoff spot. However, all we have to do is either win a game or have the Nationals lose a game, and we're officially in. So we'll clinch the postseason very early into next episode. So for the first time in this series, we'll be seeing playoff baseball. Should be very exciting episode coming up. Looking at our remaining series, we have 2 against the Reds, 1 against the Giants, and 1 against the Brewers, the final series of the year. We just had a 4-game set against Milwaukee. We only took 1 of 4, which is not good. And this final series against Milwaukee could determine who wins the NL Central. Obviously, last year we choked at the end, did not win the division, needed the game 163 and lost. Maybe this time we can get our vengeance and win a division. We're also going to cover the AA World Series against the Portland Sea Dogs, which should be very exciting. I hope you guys are ready for that one, and I hope you enjoyed the episode. A little bit of a long one, but it was a fun one. Have a good one. Peace out.